All right, so I know people are nosy, so I know they're going to want to know about how much money we're making. And so let's talk about what our biggest months were as a content creator. James, you want to start? All right, guys, welcome to the Legacy Investing Show. This is a podcast that I may or may not continue, but we've, by popular demand through all of our DMs, I think, and comments, we've seen a lot of people asking for us to do something together. So the two greatest guests that I could think of are my two brothers, John So and James So. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Thanks for being here. So, I think something for people that don't know who you guys are. So let's just kick it off with James. What do you do? Why are you here? And why should people listen to you?
Yeah. So my name is James So. I make content on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, mainly like public interaction, giveaway style videos. And I'm here because you asked me to come here.
What about you, John?
I am John. Like Preston said, I am the youngest in the So family. I also do interviews on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and I interview high schoolers at my high school. So.
All right, guys. Well, I think a lot of people are going to want to know. So for those of you that don't know, James has a huge following. I mean, especially lately, he's blown up. Same with John. Close to 1 million followers. How much do we have in total across all of our social medias, do you think?
Probably like close to 10 million?
I think we're probably approaching that because I have like 5 million myself. So
yeah, I'm at almost 3 million almost.
Yeah.
I'm at close to 1 million on YouTube, and then close to 800K on TikTok. So around there.
You can just call us the Asian Paul brothers, except for we have one more. So I think we're one-upping them. Yeah. So James, if you don't mind kind of talking about what kind of, got you into becoming a content creator, right? Because I think there's a lot of people that want to be content creators or YouTubers. And so let's take it back to how it all began on your end.
Yeah. I was actually talking to some friends about this. I think I asked myself the same question. I think because our dad, he always had a camera when we were kids. And we have a bunch of family home videos, and I think because our dad would always film, I just got it from that. And so I grew up, I feel on YouTube. I never really watched Disney or anything like that. I just watching YouTubers. And then as I got older, I was just I kind of want to do that too. And so I started making videos just for fun, with my friends and family. And then one day I was okay, what am I going to do with my life kind of thing? And so I'm it would be cool to make videos. I never really took it seriously though. And I just started to grind out videos and study algorithms and just tried it, and it just worked out. And yeah, it's kind of long story short.
Yeah. And I think people don't see the years of failures, right? Because, ever since I can remember, you always wanted to be a content creator. You always had these different ideas, creative videos, just for the heck of it, right? And never really gain any traction, but it kind of goes to show you just stick with it, and you'll see the fruits of your work.
Yeah.
But John, what about you? Me and James know when he started creating content, but I want to hear from you. What made you get started in content creation?
Like James said, ever since we were kids, we were filming, making content all the time. So it's just been in my blood ever since. And I think it was starting junior year of high school, I kind of wanted to just make films at school. So one idea was bringing stuff into the school bathrooms, and we brought in a couch for the first video, or a bed into the school bathroom, and we posted it on TikTok, and it blew up. And we're yo, we got to keep doing this. So we kept bringing in crazier and crazier things into the bathroom. We brought a PC. It got posted everywhere, went viral. And then we saw the views coming in, and then the school shut us down, unfortunately. And then I was okay, crap, I need to figure something out. And about the same time I was doing that, James, you started doing interviews on TikTok, and you're bro, you got to hop onto this trend. So I was all right. I posted what song you listening to interview at my school, and the first video blew up, and I was okay, I'm sticking with this. And ever since that, I've been doing interviews on TikTok and YouTube.
I think going before that, I feel Preston and I forced you to do social media because we started TikTok together. I remember you called me, hey, we should do TikTok. It's taken off. So I think when we started, we're John, you should just do it with us.
Yeah.
So
at first I didn't really want to. I don't know.
We forced you.
Yeah. But I saw you making progress, and I was like, okay, I gotta hop on this. So.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that don't know my story, these two guys grew up on social media, right? But I know I grew up watching, Arthur and like Zoom and stuff, and I had no plans or aspirations to ever be on camera. But, it was basically just like December and, the New Year's coming up. So I wanted to come up with some sort of New Year's resolution, right? And a lot of people, I was getting into real estate. People were asking me about, how do I get started with real estate and stuff like that. And so it was taking up a lot of my time because I had a full-time job at the time. I had a wife. And so a lot of my time was spent, talking to people, going to lunches. And so I started talking to and watching Ryan Pineda on social media, right? And he was like, yeah, social media is going to be like the next big thing. It's going to like attention is the next big currency, right? And so I just started to, create content. I didn't even know how to post. I didn't even know how to edit. I didn't know anything about social media. So I remember I told my wife, like I was too embarrassed to let her know that I was.
Yeah, you told her like when you had like 200K. Yeah. Like you kept it a secret for like a few months or something.
Yeah. So I remember the first video that I posted, I told her, hey, I'm going to go run some errands. And it was like 3 p.m. after work. And I got in the car and I remember parking in like the most inconspicuous place. I didn't want anyone to know. And I remember just sitting there trying to record, and basically from start to finish, it took me like 4 hours to film a 30-second TikTok. And I think it's still up on my page. It's one of the worst videos I've ever created. I'm ashamed that it's still up there, but I put it on for myself. But anyway, I remember like that was the first video. It flopped, but that's kind of what, propelled me. And I told myself before I even posted that first video that no matter what the results are, I'm going to post every single day for 90 days. And then I started talking to you about it. And once I started to gain some traction, you're like, oh, I got to get on this TikTok train. So
do you remember when Preston showed us his video? I remember when you came to us saying you're going to do TikTok, I was like, what the heck?
And then it was like during like the Dogecoin area, right? And it just blew up. I don't know.
Yeah, it was the whole AMC, the whole basically where everyone, Wall Street bets when everyone was trying to get into investing. And so I just started talking about that stuff, and that's really what propelled me and, boosted me up. But
you gained like $1 million in like a month. Yeah, it was crazy.
I think it was $1 million. I would hit 1 million followers within 2.5 months.
That's insane.
I mean, like now it's kind of unheard of. But I mean, James, you kind of did that recently with your trend. We can talk about that here in a second. But my wife didn't know until I had about 150,000 followers. I still remember this day very clearly where we went to Soldier Hollow to go tubing.
Yeah.
And I think you guys mentioned, my brothers already knew. And my wife literally thought I was cheating on her when she found out. But basically, I told her, or you guys were like, hey, like, have you showed Bridget your TikTok? And she was like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
And and then she saw it and she was just like in shock because I had multiple videos. But anyway, so okay, content creation. You guys, obviously are doing big things with this. So James, talk about kind of your goals, because I know you kind of almost manifested this and gave yourself a deadline to get to this point. So what are some of the things that you did to get to the point where you're potentially going to be a full-time content creator? Because you're still both in college, or you guys are both still in school.
Yeah, I think like this is so cliche, but when everyone says you got to do it because you love it, I think that's so true, because social media is a long-term grind. Like we were talking about, I've been doing this for like over 5 years with like 0 results. And so you just really have to like, you can't like hate it. I feel like you have to actually like it to some point. And so, yeah, I think, wait, what was the original question again?
So just, like how did you really just start, the creating the content, and, what's basically like
goals?
Yeah. Okay. I know you manifested this, but like, what was your initial goal and deadline to become a full-time content creator by the time you graduate college?
Yeah, I think these are the 3 things I always tell people, like, because a lot of people are like, how can I do it? Blah, blah, blah. So I think step 1, like, obviously you have to enjoy it. But I think this is something that I learned from you when we were first starting. You have to niche down. So like, you have to figure out like what you want. I think there's so many people who like want to do everything. And I'm like, you just can't like do that. I heard this analogy once where it was like, if you go to an Italian restaurant, but then they're like serving sushi and stuff, like you're going to be like, what the heck? It's just random. So you have to figure out like what you want, so that way you can like have like an audience. And then 2 is just like being consistent. That's like kind of what you're talking about. Like you did it for 90 days straight. Like you have to be consistent. And then 3, just hopping on trends. Like at first, I think those are the most important things. So that's kind of like what I did at the start. And like you said, like I was doing like the interviews, like what song are you listening to was really popular at the time. And that just blew up. And so that's kind of what I did. But now I'm like, yeah, I'm mainly doing, I guess, short form content is like my main thing. That's how I, that's where all my audience is. That's where I make most of my money. But I feel like I want to get more into like long form, because that's always just been like a dream of mine as a kid. And so it's hard. I've tried a lot, but yeah, I want to like get more into long form content. Started a clothing line. That's been really fun. And yeah, just kind of just like making all kinds of content is the future for me.
And don't worry, guys, we're going to talk about monetization because this is a financial show. So we'll get into all that in here in a second. But John, for you, you're still young. You're in high school, right? And I think at first you were just doing it because we told you to create content, right? Mm-hmm. But you probably never thought that you were going to get to this point. So what's kind of your plans, moving forward after you get out of the whole NPC craze? What's kind of your plan with your channels?
So I definitely want to make this into like a profession, obviously, because I've been making money off of it, and I think I just want to continue more interviews and social interactions like James is doing in college. So once I'm in college, I'll probably be doing turning it into a bigger bigger scale, and just kind of continuing the content and then trying to grow big on brands and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that are hopping on, right? They see, like James and John and these other guys that are doing the interview style and getting huge off of that. So like, how do you guys differentiate yourself as, more people come in? Cause that's something that I'm trying to, think about myself. Cause I don't want to just kind of get blended in with the other bunch of, content or financial content creators. Right. So what are some ways that what are you guys doing to differentiate yourself? James, you can start.
Yeah, so that's like the most important part. Like I know content creators who have millions of followers and they just blew up like a few years ago, but today like you look at their accounts, it's just dead, because I feel like you have to innovate. Like times change. So you just have to like be aware of what's going on in the world and move with the times. Like Logan Paul, he actually talks about this a lot. Like back in the day, he was like, you just have to innovate. I think that's why he's been so relevant for so long, is because he knows how to change with the times. And so, yeah, with the interviews, we were talking about this on the car right here. There's so many interviewers now. They just spawn like ants. Like I was at BYU the other day just studying, and there's like people recording with like interviews and the microphones and everything. I'm like, geez, like there's so many. So for me, that's what I started. I'm doing more of like this mystery gift NPC thing right now, which has blown up. And I tell a lot of people this, like if I kept doing what song are you listening to, because that's what I started doing, I feel like my account would be dead.
Yeah.
So you just have to like innovate and change with the times. So that's kind of what I did.
And yeah, I mean, thing with you, James, like even though people are starting to copy what you're doing now, I think your unique value, point from my perspective is, number one, like you add a new to every single video. Like, yeah, the premise is the same, but you always have some sort of different thing that you're doing to catch the viewer's attention, right? And so, for example, like, the latest video, now you're doing a bonus mystery gift, right? Yeah. And it's just stuff like that. And honestly, a lot of these people that are doing the same thing as you are probably broke, and so they can't keep giving out, these extravagant gifts all the time. But I think you really put your personality into your videos, and it shows. And the people that just copy and paste, like you can tell that they're not doing it because they enjoy it. They're just doing it for the views, right? But yeah, John, for you, what would you have to say to that?
Same thing. Obviously, hopping onto trends, like James said earlier, is a big thing. But obviously, everyone's going to be on the same trend. So every time I go into making a video, I always ask myself, how can I make this a little different? And I'm kind of already set up like that because I'm interviewing like high schoolers, which you don't really see around on like TikTok or social media. So I already kind of have that advantage, but I also go into it saying, okay, how can I make this video as weird as possible? Because that's kind of what my videos are known for, just like how weird they are. So I just, going into every video, I just try to make it as weird as possible, obviously follow the trend, but stick out. And usually it's in my favor. So
yeah. So going off of that, Caleb Simpson, he's the guy who does How Much Do You Pay for Rent in New York. So he actually said like just the little things in videos like go a long way. So for example, like if he was going to open the door and like someone else is opening the door and he like accidentally touches their hand, like little things like that, like it just makes the comments going, there's more engagement and like the videos do better. So I try to do that in my videos, like little things that might just be like unconventional. Mm-hmm. I feel like those really make videos like take off more. For sure.
Yeah, people that don't do content creation and watch it, they're like, why would he put that weird thing in that video? But a lot of the times, if it's a smart creator, they did it on purpose, right? And they're doing it so that you will engage with it. You'll mention it in the comments, boosting the algorithm. And so when you start creating content, you start thinking completely different about everything from start to finish. I think a lot of people think, oh, this is a 30-second TikTok. It probably took them 2 minutes to film and edit. But like, there's a lot of that goes into it, right? Like the ideation of it, the execution, the editing, and then everything else that comes along with it. Like, I think people that don't create content don't realize that a 30-second video could take hours and hours, right? But yeah, I mean, I love talking about this stuff, but obviously a lot of people don't care. But kind of segue off of that, what do you feel like people that want to become content creators now, right? Because they see all these YouTubers and TikTokers making a ton of money. So what's some advice that you would give to a brand new person trying to get into this industry right now in 2023?
Don't do it for the money or the clout. And kind of going back to what I said earlier, like there's so many people who come up to me and they're like, I want to do it because like I see how much money people are making, or like it's cool to like be famous or whatever, but like you're just not gonna last because this is like a long-term, like I forgot who told me this, but like content creation is like a never-ending cycle. Like the moment you post, it's like back to square one, like filming, like creating ideas, and it's just like this cycle. Like you can't just stop posting because like you have to stay relevant, I guess. But yeah, I think you gotta do it because you enjoy it. Like at least find something in the content creation world that you like or enjoy. And
can I add to that? Yeah, I agree with James. Like you said, you should, find something that you love. And I think you also said this, you can't also do what you want in the social media realm. It's a harsh reality. Sometimes it's not going to work out, like unless it's like crazy, it's like extraordinary. You have to follow the trends, and like sometimes you can't really do what you love at first. But once you kind of like get a mojo, once you start picking up, then you can kind of go into things that you want to do. But at first, for the most part, I feel like you can't really do exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Unless like for people to watch it.
Something I've been learning recently is you have to be really strategic. Like you can't just like willy-nilly film. Like Mr. Beast talks a lot about like triple your time into like making better ideas and then tripling your time into filming. Like I used to just like film and like put out, like obviously you want to be consistent, but if you can sit down and like really blueprint and like create a really good idea, that's going to take you further than just like posting a bunch with putting like low quality effort. And so that's what I did with the mystery gift. Like I sat down, I'm like, okay, let me try this format. And then it worked.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's because if people that don't know, go look at James's page and like on his TikTok, the past couple of months, like literally a million views, like almost every single video. So what was the ideation of that? Like, how did you think of it? And then how did you go about actually putting your own spin on it?
Right. So when the content before this, like it was like, I was always trying to be innovative. So like I did interviews, but I'm like, hey, what can I do within interviews that'll be unique? I was doing like pranks and giveaways, but I was always like changing videos up. So when I found this like mystery gift format, it wasn't anything like crazy new. It was just another, like I was always trying to change. And so like at the time it was Christmas and I was like, okay, like I'm going to put on a Santa hat. And then I don't know, I think I like saw videos where people were just staring at the camera. And I'm like, let me try that. And then the punchline was like, I would just say the item at the very end, it would just cut off. Like there was like this account where it's two roommates and one of the roommates blindfolds himself and the other roommate like chucks like a random item at him. And it's like throwing a random item at my roommate until he guesses what it is. So like the guy would throw, like it could be like a construction cone. He would like chuck it at his roommate. And then the roommate would like say like a random item and it'll just cut off. And I thought like that comedic timing was so funny. So I'm like, I'm also like, once they open up the gift, I'm just going to say like the random item and then it's just going to cut off. So I just got that format. And like, again, it wasn't like this light bulb moment. Like it wasn't like, oh, like this is it. Mm-hmm. It was just like another random like change. And then the first video just happened to blow up, and it's, you know, you don't want to like stop if it's working. So I just kept going, and it just worked. So like, again, it's one of those things, like consistency. Like I failed a lot before, like the videos weren't getting that many views before. Mm-hmm. But again, it's just like consistency, like being persistent, and then something happens.
Yeah, for sure. James or John, for you, like what's kind of your brainstorming process where you come up, because your videos, you have to be as weird as possible, right? And so a lot of the times you have to rely on the people that you're interviewing to be weird and have good content. So what's kind of your process when it comes to from start to finish of, you know, your videos?
So like James said, you should take a lot of time to, you know, brainstorm your ideas. So the night before I film, I usually look on TikTok, because consuming is as important as producing on, you know, your social media. So I get a lot of ideas from TikTok. Yeah, I have my For You page is just full of interviews, and I have like you can save things like in collections now. So I have like an interview inspiration, you know, panel. So I save a bunch of videos from TikTok that I like, and then I, you know, get the question or idea of the video, and I just write it down in my notes, and then I'm like, okay, how can I get this question and then get answers that are like crazy weird? So I just, you know, write the question down. I go to school the next day during lunch. I film during lunch, and I just go out. I'm like, hey, do you want to be in my video? And then usually high school students, they just think of the craziest, weird, out-of-pocket answers. And it's just, obviously it's good for the engagement. So I just ask them the question. They already know what to do. High schoolers are really smart in that aspect. It's weird. Like they're really good at just, you know, answering questions. And then
once they've seen your videos too, so they know.
Yeah, check my videos out. They're really weird. So, but I usually get like 10 people. I ask 10 people, and I choose the best clips that I get from the day. And then after class, because I'm a senior in high school, most of my classes are we just sit in class. So I just edit the video real quick, and then I just post it. And that's usually the main process. I just hired an editor, just, you know, take some time off my plate, but that's usually the plan. I usually just try to film every day and then get a new video every day. And I'm able to get that because I, you know, consume TikTok. I don't really think of these ideas on my own. I just, you know, get inspiration from others and then add a little twist to my videos.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, right? Because too many people either will just blatantly copy exactly, but if you want it to be yours and if you want to be successful in this realm, you have to add your own spin and own personality to it, right? And that's kind of the same thing with any niche that you're in. You always have to bring it back to you, because people will see through the BS, and they're going to see through, you know, if this guy's legit or not by, you know, especially with finance, people are going to see through your crap if you don't actually believe in what you're talking about. But for you guys in kind of the more entertainment niche, you have to have your own personality. I think that's even more important than even in my niche. But so I know, you know, we're talking about content creation like it's this like great thing, and, you know, a lot of people want to do it. And I personally think that content creation is one of the best, you know, jobs, if you want to call it that. But what would you say are the biggest drawbacks or downsides of being a content creator?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm like a lot better now, but before, views would determine my happiness. And like they still do. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like I'm better at, like, you know, being level-headed and not letting that affect me. But like, especially when it's your job and like you're working with brands, like you have to have certain engagement. So like, yeah, some days, like if I post a video and it doesn't do well, it'll just like ruin my day. And so I think that's one thing that's really toxic in the world of content creation, is like being able to stay like level-headed and grounded, even if it doesn't do well. So that would be like probably one of the main.
I agree. Yeah. Another thing for me is, honestly, I feel like if you kind of get into a hole of like what you're creating you don't like, I feel like that can really result in like a burnout, or you hate your life. I kind of had that for a bit. I still kind of am like recovering from it, but I was just kind of doing content that I wasn't really liking. And from that, I was just like, I don't really want to do this anymore. Is this really worth it? Because I don't even enjoy doing it. Plus, like, the views aren't doing as good. So there's a lot of factors that play into it that just kind of just like bring you down, because it really dictates your mood. Like when I was, even now, like when a video doesn't do as well as I thought it was gonna do, it really just like, oh, bruh, you know, like I don't really want to make another video because it's like, you know, I don't know, it's weird. It dictates your mood, but it also like motivates you too because you're like, okay, it didn't do well. I want to get a video that's gonna blow up. So there's both. It goes both ways.
I think one last thing is like the balance of doing it for yourself, but also like pleasing an audience. I think you can really get in. I think it's like content creation is all a mental game. Like creating the actual content isn't that hard. It's just like the mental game of sometimes you like want to be a people pleaser too much. And so like you're now creating content that you don't like, but you know, like the audience likes. So it's like also like trying to find that middle ground of doing it because you actually like it, because you want to be fulfilled, but also like what can I give to the people, something that they like as well. So
yeah, and kind of adding to that, what do you feel like is, you know, because obviously everyone has a comment section, right? Like especially if you're a big creator. So how do you deal with the haters? Do you look at the comments at all? Like what's kind of your guys's, because I think that's something that a lot of people are scared of. Like what if I start getting hate comments and people, what if they don't like the way I look or whatever? So what would you have to say to that person, and how do you deal with the haters?
Dude, people ask me that question. I've never really cared. I just like, I can read a comment and it's almost like humorous.
Yeah, I kind of try to laugh at it. I mean, at first I was kind of like, oh,
John,
it kind of hurt.
Just like, oh, this hurts.
If honestly, it does hurt. Like it really does. But like, who cares about their opinion if you don't know them? You know, you know your reason for why you're creating your videos, and if they don't like it, that's fine. It's a random stranger, and
Probably like a 12-year-old in his mom's basement.
Exactly.
Just trolling.
yeah,
Honestly, I just feel bad for the haters, right? The people that have to take the time out of their day to try to bring someone down that's, you know, trying to add value to the world, whether that's through, you know, advice or entertainment or, you know, whatever that looks like. And I mean, for me, like, I don't really look at my comments too much anymore, like, just because there's no reason to feed the trolls, right? But at the same time, it's like, there are some very constructive criticisms that you can take from your comment section and then apply it to your own video. So it's a tricky, very slippery slope. And I think it just comes down to your personality, right? Because I mean, me and James have served church missions where we're getting rejected left and right. And I did summer cells. James did the same thing. So I think we're kind of numb to the haters and to people yelling at us or whatever. But for those people that don't have that thick skin developed yet, then if you are trying to become a content creator, like, I think my best piece of advice is to develop that thick skin. But before you do that, I think you should just kind of ignore your comment section for the most part.
I mean, if anything, it helps for the engagement. The more comments, the better, I feel like.
Yeah.
And like, people argue in my comments a lot, and I don't even mind to delete it because it just boosts my engagement. So
Like that watch time. They're just replaying the video.
playing it while they argue. They try to find an argument to type out.
Yeah. And sometimes like I'll like add into it, be like, wait, you're going to take that from,
User
Like,
5,
egg
6,
it on.
7, 8. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the monetization of it, right? So let's pull out our phones. Let's just go to
juicy
YouTube.
stuff.
Yeah, let's get to the how much money we're making off of, because everyone just talks about how much money they're making from YouTube. So James, let's open your YouTube studio. What are you looking at for your ads content or your revenue for
Like
the
all
past
time?
Let's do the past 30 days and let's go to all time after that.
Okay, well, YouTube's not that much, honestly.
They changed it up. They did what's the ad? The shorts ads. It kind of lowered it, if anything.
You feel like it's lowered after the shorts, the ad?
I feel like the estimated revenue, but they did shorts bonus too. So I don't know.
So for those who don't know, YouTube Shorts, they just came out with the YouTube Shorts monetization in February, but before they did YouTube Short bonuses. And yeah, like I feel like the actual YouTube Short monetization that came out is not as much as the bonuses. Like I made $15.69 in February.
Okay, I mean that's still pretty good. What were you making before the shorts ads?
I mean, with the bonuses, I was probably averaging like a few thousand. John was making crazy money from the bonus. Like,
Yeah, we'll get to John in a second.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I mean like $15.69 in February.
And then all time, what are we looking at?
All time.
And give us some months of how long you've been doing the content for.
How do you even do this?
While James is looking that up, John, what are we looking at?
Okay, so for this month, the estimated revenue is $15.67. So just right under James.
Where am I at?
But they also paid the shorts bonus this month too, and that was around like $3,200 from what I last remember.
For me, that for those that are curious, $561.41. And I think a lot of people, I feel like they're the people the creators that rely solely on the ad revenue, I feel like are doing it completely wrong, right? Because you make way more money through affiliates, brands, your own products, stuff like that. So James, like I know we have like the shorts bonus and whatnot, but first and foremost, what platform pays the most just strictly for posting on their platform, would you say?
On the platform, honestly, I would say YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah. TikTok recently has actually been pretty good just with the engagement, but yeah, probably just off of the platform itself is YouTube. Again, like I don't even look at platform revenue. Like it's just kind of like bonus money for me.
Yeah.
But for all time on YouTube, I've made 20,522 and 56 cents, and that's starting from March 24th, 2022. But that's like the way I break it down is like I probably make 70, even maybe 80% of my income from brand deals, and 20% is just from platform money. So
yeah, I'm sitting at, so I started YouTube sometime in August, but I started getting paid in September.
What year?
2020, September 2022 to March 2023. I'm at $27,644.
Jeez.
So,
and this is all just from shorts revenue from as a high school kid.
Making more than me. Yeah. That's crazy money just being in high school.
Yeah, it's wild. I didn't think it was going to pay that much, especially for shorts. So
yeah, let's talk about how else you guys are monetizing your platforms, right? Just because, like you said, 80% of the money comes from brand sponsorship. So what are some ways that you are able to work with brands? Do they reach out to you? Do you reach out to them? Can you kind of talk about your process for finding those?
Yeah, I have a lot of people, whether they're friends or strangers, who are trying to start social media, and they're like, I want to monetize. I want to monetize. Like, how can I do it? But they have like 500 followers or like even like 20K followers. I'm like, okay, step number one is like build your brand, build your audience, just focus on the content first. Like for me, I was just focusing on the content, and then like brands just came. Like I would say most of my brand deals came from like inbound emails or referrals from like other creators. And so yeah, my advice would be focus on just because when you're posting, people from these brands are going to be watching your videos. That's how they like find you, right? And so like yes, you can like outreach, which is another method, but like I haven't had a lot of success from just like cold emailing brands. I think if you focus on the content, build your audience, then brands will come, and then from there it's like a snowball effect. Like so many brands come, then you have options to choose, and then like you'll meet people at these brands who can refer you to other brands. You can meet creators over time, and they can help you with like other brands as well. So that would be my advice.
What about you, John?
It's been the same for me. Like you said, grow your audience. And as I was growing, I think it was like once I hit like 300,000 to 400,000 followers on TikTok, that's when brands started reaching out to me. And yeah, I haven't really cold called, emailed, but yeah, I've just gotten deals from brands reaching out to me. So
yeah, I think too many people try to monetize way too early, right? They just look at the numbers. But like, honestly, like I feel like the best way, cause I didn't start monetizing my audience until like 4 or 5 months in. Right. And like, that was never the goal for me to get into the content creation cause I just, it sounds cheesy, but like, I just wanted to help others. And then, if the monetization came, like, obviously we're not going to say no to money. Right. But I mean, obviously there are probably creators that are struggling right now getting brand deals just because of a looming recession or whatever. So what kind of strategies have you taken right now to be able to go and, still get these brand deals, even amidst people or a lot of companies kind of pulling back their budgets?
Yeah, I have a few things. I think number one, I just signed with management. And again, management, I think there's a lot of pros and cons, but if you're struggling, like that's what they're there for. They take a cut, obviously, but if they can help you find deals, and great. Number two, another strategy is like, I think you're the one who told me this. Within your niche, go look at all the other creators and like go through their accounts and see like what brands they're working with. Because some brands will do influencer marketing, some don't. And so I think like going to creators in your niche, going through like and seeing the brands, get their email and like reach out to them. And so again, it's like it's not like, yes, a lot can come to you, but you also have to put in your part to find them. So that's another thing. Like, I think networking is key. So like trying to like be friends with other creators in your niche, and obviously don't just do it just to like get brand deals, but like I think having a community of people similar to you, like that can be very, very powerful.
Yeah. I feel like networking is so underrated with content creation because, you know, I've been able to network with other creators, and I think some people will look at it as competition. So they're like, oh, I'm not going to give them, you know, different brand deals or whatever, just because like that's like taking money out of my pocket. But if you think about it, kind of going back to the abundant mindset, right? Like there's enough for everyone. Even if there are way more content creators right now, like you could still make it in this as long as you know, genuinely try to help others. So I feel like networking with other creators is one of the biggest ways for you to be able to not only boost your brand, but also to get more brand deals in the future. But John, what are some ways that you've been able to get brand deals?
Honestly, referrals and like James said, kind of just, you know, networking. I feel like most of the brands in the past I've worked with, they actually mentioned that this is really simple. Just putting your email in your bio, or, you know, like people are like, I wouldn't have been able to reach out to you if it wasn't for that. So simple things like that. But also brand deals are great. But personally, I've been kind of going into building my own brand, and that whether that's like merch or, you know, products that I've been trying to market. And me and James have been trying to do that. We're trying to start a merch like clothing line. And even though brand deals are great, we're just trying to build our own brand because you get what you put in. So like we're trying to, you know, make clothes and then try marketing through that, so we don't have to really work for other companies, and it kind of fits our niche more. I feel like the engagement is better that way because, you know, we can choose what we want to do with our videos, and it's not steering too far away from our videos.
Yeah, I think it's important to diversify, because brand deals, like they could just, like I've had like contract month to month deals, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, we're not working with you.
Yep.
And then now you can be making like 20K a month to zero the next month. So that's why with like, you know, starting our own brands like clothing, like I want this to be like another source of income and like almost be like a standalone business in the future. So like if social media doesn't work out, then I have this. So yeah, trying to like diversify, I think is smart, just to be safe in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I think diversifying your income is huge, right? Because like I like the affiliates because you can, you know, you basically are like a salesperson for a different company. And I'm sure you guys are the same way, but I'll never work with any brands that I want to use or I don't use myself. That's an easy way to burn your audience, and people will, you know, just won't trust you in the future if you, you know, promote some crappy brand. And then also being able to have your own thing, like your merch. I think that's smart to be able to control your income versus relying on different brands and hoping that they have budget. I remember like at the end of last year, mainly I was just working through affiliates and brands before I went full time. But once I started creating my own content or having my own product, I feel like that's where I was like, okay, like I can actually control my income if I need to, because we're all basically full-time content creators at this point. And so we do rely on, you know, different things or sources of income for us to like actually provide for ourselves. Right. So I feel like having, you know, kind of like the trifecta that I look at it is having the affiliates, having the brand deals, and then also having your own product. I feel like if you have those three things and you are kind of like segmenting those in a way that so that you can actually, you know, provide for yourself, I feel like is huge. And I think it's important to have all three of those things eventually if you want to become a full-time content creator, because you don't want to rely on just like one thing. So what's kind of like the main thing that you guys are looking out for over the next, you know, couple of years? Like how do you see yourself evolving your content where it is now to where you ultimately want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always like trying to level up, right? So like, I think there's tiers to being a creator. Like I want to get to the next tier where I have bigger audience, bigger brand deals, better content. Again, like trying to diversify. So like this clothing line, like I want it eventually to be like so separate from me. Like I want someone to like look at like a hoodie or a shirt and be like, oh, that's a cool hoodie, and they don't even know it's from me. So focusing on that. I want to get back into YouTube long form, just because like honestly, short form content is like kind of easy to make. Like I can pump out a week's worth of content in an hour, and then I have the whole day. And it's like, okay, what do I do now? So YouTube, trying to like push that a little bit more. Yeah, just I think it's like the fine balance of like succeeding in your career, like with engagement and money, but also like trying to find more fulfillment. Like that's why I like doing the giveaway stuff. I think it has like positive impact and like makes me feel good. So just always trying to like level up all those things.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I agree. Just like, going on a bigger scale, I kind of want to change my content to more like giveaways, more wholesome content. But right now it's kind of tough for me because I'm like going to serve a 2-year mission in July. So right now I'm just going to kind of just go with the flow of things. Hopefully I've kind of created content so James or someone could post it during my mission.
2 years worth of content.
2 years worth of content. And then when I come back, if it isn't, stable, if the audience isn't there, then I'm just going to create a new, audience. Because I want to do content creation again after my mission. So we'll see where it goes. For now, I'm just going to write it out, try to sell the merch, kind of make similar videos. But I'm not too worried about, making huge changes just because I'm leaving pretty soon. So.
Yeah, people are going to be like, dude, this kid's in high school for 6 years.
This guy doesn't age.
He's still creating content. Yeah, I mean, that's smart though, because you worked really hard to build up your audience, and you don't want to just like let that go to waste. Because if you took 2 years off, I bet it would be much harder to come back, get the engagement back up. So it's smart. You're figuring out, looking ahead, where you're going to basically have 2 years worth of content. So, what are some of the other things that you guys are working on besides, like the clothing brand? Like what's kind of like the biggest focuses for you guys, in the near future for right now, just with content creation?
So for me, like for content creation or just in life?
Just in general, like whatever that looks like.
Because like the past, I would say 2 years have just been like saving and like, building. But I'm getting to an age where like I want to be financially free. And so I want to start investing. So like hopefully get up like a rental property. Like I want to get into real estate, like whether that's like Airbnb or whatever it is. But yeah, for me, like I'm just like saving and like I want to like invest and like have my money work for me. And I think that's the biggest thing in my life right now.
Yeah. A little tough question for me just because I'm taking like a 2-year break. So I haven't really thought much about it because I've just, thought about just going to that. But I guess for after my mission, I'm just going to be going to college. But during college, I want to, like I said, do content creation again. So while I'm in college, I want to like build up another brand. And then, like you said, invest the money because I'll be older by the time I come back. And then, I'll be trying to find a girlfriend or something. So I guess that's another goal of mine in life in general. Nice. So I don't know. It's kind of tough because I'm leaving for so long. So I haven't really thought much about it. So.
That's a good segue. So I'm married, so I don't obviously deal with dating and stuff, but do you feel like dating's been easier for you after you started blowing up on socials?
I think it makes it worse.
In what ways?
I feel like people like they have like a perceived bias or judgment, like because you're like a public figure. Like a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, it's the TikTok guy. And so that's how I see it. I don't know if that's true, but like I think people definitely are like, oh, it's like that. And so like because of that, I don't know if people like want to like stray away because it's like, oh, he's just like a influencer dude. Like I feel like sometimes I could be like a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I've had some people who are like clout chasers, low key, and just kind of like, oh, like he has like followers, so maybe like I can benefit from this. But yeah. But like on dating apps,
yeah. Like, do you feel like you get more matches now versus before? Because I mean, you were on those apps before you start blowing up, so you kind of have a
like. Well, I think a lot of like girls, like their first line is like, "Oh my gosh, you're the TikTok guy," or like, "What song are you listening to?" or like, "Give me a Mister gift." And so it's like, I don't know what to say to that.
Do you automatically block those people because you're like?
Actually, a lot of times I don't respond because it's like I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I've never really been in pursuit of a girl, so I can't really tell either way. But I feel like I don't know. They mention it, but I feel like most of the time they're like, "Oh, I totally forgot you're a content creator." So it doesn't really affect me that much with like people that I meet because they kind of forget that I am a content creator because I don't really mention it when we hang out.
I think like society has this weird thing on like influencers because I remember when I first started, when I saw someone who had 30,000 TikTok followers, I thought they were like a celebrity. And so sometimes I'm like desensitized now, like, but I think looking back at that moment when I had like no followers and I saw someone that had like a certain amount, I was just like, I looked at them differently. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but like I think a lot of like society and people like look at people differently. So yeah, I don't really.
How often do you guys get noticed in public? I know we've talked about offline, but for those people that are curious, someone with over 3 million followers, James, how often do you go about your day-to-day stuff and people come up to you?
Like in Utah County where I like film and live, it's pretty common just because that's where like I think TikTok goes out locally, and especially because I'm like filming at these campuses where most people go to like a lot. And I thought it was only local, but like recently I went on a cruise and I went to like the Caribbean, and like some dude on the cruise ship was like, dude, you're the TikTok guy. And that like blew my mind. And then we went to Miami and New York after, and people like on the streets were like, bro, you're the TikTok guy. And like I was freaking out because in Utah it's like it's a given, but like being on like that side of the States, I was like, that's really weird. And if anything, it's really cool that like I can reach people in different places, because like I get emails sometimes where people are like, oh, like I'm just so like depressed and sad, but your videos like lighten my day. So like I see it like as like a positive thing. Like that's why like we have kind of like this power to put out content. Like for me or us, it's more comedic and entertainment. And like a lot of people laugh at our stuff, and like it makes their day better. So yeah, I think it's a good thing, and it's just really cool to see like people like all over the world see it.
Yeah, we definitely reach out to places like we never thought. Like you said, you went to New York and stuff. Like I feel like I haven't really been out of the state, so I don't know how like nationwide it is for me, but I do get a lot of stares in public, and I can like kind of tell that they're like, you know,
They don't want to be racist.
yeah, that I look like every other Asian person. So I mean, I don't blame them, but there's a lot of kids that come up to me, a lot of kids, and they ask for pictures, and I think that's really cool because they're like, dude, I love your videos. Like, I didn't know you lived in Utah, stuff like that.
I love trolling people who come up like, dude, you're the TikTok guy. I'm like, dude, that's a different Asian. And I just like screwing with people for a bit. It's fun.
Yeah, I think John's downselling it because we were in Pasadena, California for the Rose Bowl a couple months ago, and we're there just like standing, and they're just like grown adults that come to John like, hey, like, what song are you listening to?
Way, are you serious?
It's crazy how many people. I mean, obviously a lot of those people are Utah fans, but still like a lot of adults, and I'm sure the kids of these people probably show their family or their parents your videos, and so a lot of them know John too. And I just thought it was crazy.
What's crazy too is like online people have peace that we're brothers. So like there's comments all the time where it's like for example, my video, someone will be like, oh, are you and John brothers? And then someone will respond and be like, yeah, that's the brother. He's the younger brother. But then Legacy Investing Show Preston, he's the oldest brother. Yeah. They're actually, and like people like know it now. It's so weird. And we get comments like that all the time.
Oh yeah.
And it's just crazy how people piece it together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like some people just happen to follow all of us, and then they're just like, wait a second, this guy looks like this guy, and they're both like, they're all so's, and so they probably do some digging to figure it out. But it's just funny to kind of mess with the people. They're like, dude, like why just assume that every Asian that creates content is our brothers? But yeah, it's funny. Like every single video that I see of you guys, I think every single like there's at least one or two comments like, hey, do you know John or do you know James, depending on the video? But I think it's pretty funny.
You gotta do a collab.
Dude, they mistake us for the same person. Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah, like you, because you have this like character in your videos called Cletus Moonshine, right? Yeah. And someone commented on my like Instagram post like, yo, Cletus Moonshine or something. And I'm like, what the heck?
Wrong brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's smart for John. You have reoccurring characters in your videos, right? And so now people like are asking for different people within characters, or what do you guys call it in
lore?
Yeah, lore. What is lore, like, for those that don't know? Because I don't know that.
It's just like the history of like, you know, of something. Like the lore of my videos is like just like how everyone's connected and the storyline of it all. And I was actually talking to Cletus the other day, and we were like, dude, you know, like boost our engagement. Let's just have you in a video and then just not show you for like 2 months. And like all the fans are like, where's Cletus? Where's Cletus? Yeah. And it's like people are like actually love it. So it's like a show in a way. It's crazy. So.
I think that's something we're both doing. Like with yours, you have that lore of characters, and like for me, I have like the quests.
Yeah.
And like people like, and I think that's like smart. If you're like a content creator, like try to create like a story, right? Because that's, I think because people like are following along on this journey. Like I'm trying to get Mr. Beast in a video, and like people like want to see if it happens. So creating like that story or lore is, I think, really smart.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, like, how do you engage your audience, right? Because you're ultimately creating for your audience. And so are these things that just happen by accident, or are these intentional things that you've added into your videos to gain more engagement with your audience?
It was like a beautiful mistake or whatever they say. Like I just was giving away Sony headphones as mystery gifts. And it got to the point where people were like, Sony sponsor him. And I started saying that in a video, and then they noticed, and then they sponsored me. And so that kind of gave me the idea. I'm like, whoa, like instead of just these one-off videos, maybe I can like try to do quests. And so this next quest is like giving away Mr. Beast Feastable chocolates and trying to get him in a video. And so I think people just like want to be a part of the journey. Because like when we finally got the Sony sponsorship, all the comments were like, dang, this is crazy. Like I feel like I was a part of this. Yeah, it's really cool. So and like I'm always doing like Mr. Beast chain, like tag him. So I'm like trying to get the audience to like do like their part as well. And so I think it feels like a collective community thing.
Yeah, same here. It was never like intentional from the beginning, but I noticed people love the characters, and I was like, okay. And kids at school would come up to me like, "Oh, I have a perfect character I can act out for you," and they would make up like names like Tyrone or D'Artagnan, Jaikuzin or whatever. And like,
how did they come up with that stuff?
I don't know, but like one video, I remember someone commented, it was like, "This is my ranking of all the Soul Lord characters," and they named every character in like episode and like ranked them, and people in the comment like replying were like arguing like, "No, this character's better than this person," and I was like, wow, I like created something. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep adding characters that people will like, and then just make stories out of it.
There was like this one character name that was so funny.
Shaniqua DeMarcus?
No, not that one. It was, I don't even remember.
I feel like it's not even like it's rated R character names at this point.
It's like it was like a need. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really smart to kind of engage your audience in that way too, because they're looking forward to your videos versus it being like on their for you page and like, oh, that was a funny video, but like people keep wanting to come back. So I think that's smart to have that really rabid, loyal fan base for them to come back and wanting more. I think that's something that you guys have done really good at, whether was by accident or by on purpose. But all right, so I know people are nosy, so I know they're going to want to know about how much money we're making. And so let's talk about what our biggest months were as a content creator. James, you want to start?
My biggest month, I think it was like when I first started actually, but I think it was like 35K or something.
Jeez.
Which is like
35K.
Obviously like that's not a lot to like some people, but for me making TikToks, like that was crazy.
Could break that down. Like what was that from brand deals, your YouTube ad revenue?
No, it was all mainly brand deals. I think at that point I had like 4 or 5 deals, and they were all like 5K, couple like 3K, 7K. And yeah, it all just added up, and it was like a busy month, and I think it was like 35K around, which is crazy.
Dang. What do you feel like you're averaging lately?
I would say like 20K is like average a month.
For a college student creating videos on TikTok, that's pretty awesome.
But I just closed this deal. So like with my engagement, like that, it's like really high now. And so we just closed a deal that was 29K.
That's crazy, dude.
Freaking nuts.
Wild, man. What about you, John?
All right. I should have started first. We should have gone like least to most. But I think, so my most on YouTube Shorts was like 7K by itself.
That's crazy.
And then
you shouldn't say that.
Yeah, probably. My bad.
We'll bleep it.
Could restart. All right. That brand was like 3K in a month, and then Snapchat. I did it with 2 brands. I don't know if that's allowed with them, but I did it. That was like 5K with like just those 2, because they both pay like 3,000 each. One pays a little less, and then just like, did I do anything else? I think that was it. So like that adds up to like what, 14K, 15K.
Which is crazy for high school.
Yeah.
Like I was making pennies in high school.
Yeah. So,
dude, it took me like a year to make that much money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. I felt illegal just because like I was making that much at my age. So I don't know, I was just in shock. But
So your son Jude, he's almost what, 2 or a year and a half?
Yep, almost 2.
So have you thought about like when he's older, like how you're gonna like like financially, like are you gonna make him like?
Oh yeah, he's gonna work for every dollar that and honestly, like I thought about this too, right? And I'm sure people that are looking to become parents, they like want to have the best for their kid, right? And so I want him to earn everything. I also want him to learn a lot of the things that school didn't teach us. And that's another one of my missions is I want to, teach like our financial education in America, at least, is garbage, right?
Yeah.
We don't even know like what a credit card is by the time we graduate college, which I think is, just a travesty. But like, I want him to learn and I want to make it fun for him too. I don't want him to like think like, oh, investing's stupid, but I want him to like learn, okay, like if I give you $10, and you have to go and, turn it to $100 within, X amount of time, basically like keep doing like fun things and having him also like learn hard work, right? I'm not going to hand him anything. Like he has to earn every single dollar, but I also want him to show him like the power of compounding interest and almost making it like a game so that he can actually enjoy it. Right. So that's kind of the plan with him. But I mean, honestly, guys, like it's like you can get to where you want to be just. And like, I again, like I never, you guys know me, like I never like really talked about like, oh, my goal is X hundred or X amount of revenue every single month. Right. Yeah. It's like, it just comes with the more value you give and the skills that you hone in on and everything else. Like once you start to like perfect the craft, then everything else will come into place. And so I'm not always like thinking about like, oh, I need to make X amount of dollars this month. It's like, how much value can I give? And then the money just follows.
Yeah,
so that's the way I look at it.
It's a byproduct of like just doing stuff that you enjoy doing and like putting quality effort into something.
Yeah, totally.
It's like if you try to chase the money, it never comes really.
And it's like the same thing with dating, right? Like the more you chase girls, like the less you're going to actually get girls, right? Yeah. And like, I feel like, in your dating life, James, I feel like you're never actively looking for girls. It just happens.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's because it comes across in your body language, your tonality, by just not wanting it actually gets you more of it. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, anyway, anything else?
That's something I need to learn.
Okay. So to wrap this up, if someone wants to become a content creator, what's like your biggest piece of advice for them? If they want to become a content creator? We can start with James.
Yeah, I said this before already, but there's 3 things that I always say is like, and like, I feel like a lot of times like people don't give like practical advice. Like people are like, just do what you love. Like these are like 3 practical things that like, I promise if you do, then you'll grow. Niche down. Like again, so many people want to do so many different things. You just have to find like a niche. 2 is once you find that niche, find popular trends or topics within that niche to recreate. And 3 is be consistent. So like we started posting 3 times a day on TikTok. That's the key. So those 3 things, like if you can do that, then you'll grow. I think it's like, it's not like random. It's not luck. Like there's a very strategic way. Like I've seen you grow. I've seen you grow. I've seen other people grow just by doing these 3 things. And if you do that, then you'll find success. And then have fun with it too, obviously. Like find ways to be creative and find ways to provide value for them.
Yeah, I think James said it perfectly. I feel like those 3 are the, most like the highest, right? Like the things you should follow when you're starting on TikTok. And yeah, honestly, you said it perfectly. I feel like when people also like while you're doing it, I feel like you should also, people tend to like stick with their content and it just dies off. I feel like you need to find trends. You need to things to hop back on, because I was doing like the what song you listen to, like you said earlier, and I would have died out if I just kept doing it. So I just kept bringing more ideas to, kind of make it more interesting because people get bored of the same thing over and over. It gets really repetitive. So I would just say, hop on the trends, make things more interesting, and just find a good middle ground and, changing your content up a little bit.
And because I'm the finance guy, I also think diversifying on different platforms. So not just only relying on TikTok or YouTube, but with shorts now, you can literally post or create one piece of content and then post it to all the different platforms. And so slowly building out your platforms across all the different, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I feel like is going to only serve you because you're going to be able to reach other people. But yeah. But anyway, anything else before we wrap up? You guys want to say to the people what you guys are working on, what you got going on?
Honestly, solely merch coming out soon. Your merch.
MPC merch. I don't have it on right now, but MPC merch.
You're not repping your merch. Come on, bro.
Rookie mistake right there.
Yeah.
And also hit up Mr. Beast if you are watching this.
Yes,
we're coming.
please.
James is coming after
I'm
you.
coming for you,
Jimmy.
I'm
please.
coming for you, Jimmy.
Jimmy, please. Just collab with my boy.
We'll get Mr. Beast on this podcast one day. I believe it.
This might be the first and last podcast, but we'll see. But all right, guys.
One.
Well, appreciate you guys hopping on, sharing
Thank
some
you.
insights,
Thanks for having us.
and stay tuned. We'll see you guys soon.